I'm searching the web for the latest gaming news. Searching GameZillaMedia.com. Downloading headlines.
Alexander, what about this monster story of yours?
Download complete.
Doom Eternal. We got to see some gameplay at QuakeCon. We got to hear about when it's coming out. We don't know when it's coming out. I'm mixing up my stories here. But we did get to see a trailer. We did get to find out that it is coming out on the Nintendo Switch. Mm-hmm. But the big point here is the game looked really cool. If you liked the reboot of Doom, you're excited about this game. I mean, it's easy, hands down. That's the reaction people got. It looks really pretty. It looks, the intensity's been taken up a notch. They talked about a couple new game modes where you get to play, as the demon and fight other players in the single player campaign, which they're calling Invasions. Yep. Yeah. So we got some information, but the big piece around this was the fact that Nintendo is being treated as a tier 1. Right, like it wasn't that Doom Eternal is coming out on Xbox, PS4, and PC, and then eventually the Switch. Now, mind you, previous games like the original Doom reboot and let's say Wolfenstein 2 and stuff, those were in development before the Switch was released. Now it was the Switch. You may have been able to have a developer kit for the Switch, but it's still, we didn't even know the success of the Switch yet when these other games were in development. So I don't want to compare it to the fact that like the original Doom, they didn't treat Nintendo right because timeline wise it doesn't fit. But now after the success, after they've seen what the Switch community can do for them, they built Doom Eternal around the Switch. The Switch was in mind when they designed this game.
Can I ask a real stupid gaming industry question because I just don't know the answer to it?
I will hopefully have an answer for you, maybe.
So this game it's been advertised like, hey, Panic Button is working on this port just the same way they did on the first Doom, and we know Panic Button is probably one of the most glorious porting teams out there because the stuff they've brought to the Switch is gold. But it's not typical that a game is developed for all systems and then ported to another one, or is it?
No, so yeah, that's the weird thing, is that because the concept here is that they're all technically going to come out at the same time. Like, let's just say this is let's just say it's coming out this year in December. They're all going to come out December 15th together, but that's weird because the Switch version will be done by Panic Button, which means as ID works on their game, Panic Button will have to also work on the game in the port form to stay at the same development stage as ID. And yeah, I do not think this is a normal practice, and that's why it concerns me that the Switch version, though, even if they announce yes, we want it to be a day one release, it might end up hitting that snag and getting a slight delay.
Do we think though that it's being done by a port company because it's going to run slower than everything else?
It's being done by a port company because Panic Button did the first Doom on the Switch. Right.
They've
done Wolfenstein.
Is that because
it's
of
because
the speed of the game?
Well, they already had said it's going to run at 30 frames.
Right.
So it's already half of what it's going to run on the other systems. But the point is, I think ID looks at it as they don't trust anybody else other than Panic Button to make this work on the Switch.
I just don't think ID can scramble a team together to learn how the Switch functions and how to optimize and work in gyro controls and all this stuff that Panic Button already knows how to do.
You don't need to because Panic Button has proven time and time again they can do it for you.
Right. So, but you're right. It's not going to be like they can just hand them a gold master and say, okay, cool, this is done. Port it.
It's weird.
We're coming out in 3 weeks. They're going to be porting. Yeah, it's like, hey, here's our newest build. Keep working. Hey, here's our newest. That's real wild.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how it goes. Now, I do want some feedback, okay? And I want to turn to my best friend, okay? My favorite co-host of this show. And I really want to get the input of Deadite Knight and what he thinks on Doom.
Die, demons, die! Oh, hey. What's going on, jerks?
Hey, guy.
It's your
Hey,
boy, the
hey.
Deadite Knight here, playing some Doom on my Nintendo Switch. And, I was up pretty late last night, caught a late night flight back from Mexico because I was deep in the Mexican jungles fixing the GameZilla servers that went down. And I didn't really get to bed till about 3 a.m. So Grim said, you know what, Deadite, go ahead, take the day off. You've earned it. I most certainly have with all of my hard work. So, I'm here relaxing a little bit in the Deadite cave. But I couldn't miss out on the opportunity to chime in a little bit about this latest round of news coming out about the development for Doom Eternal on the Nintendo Switch. It's a very interesting quote where the developer, person speaking from id Software says that this time around in the development of Doom Eternal, it is treating the Nintendo Switch like a first-class citizen, where in game development for the last several generations, Nintendo has always been an afterthought. So it's super exciting for me to know that someone's taking an approach where they're making the Switch something of importance. Now, they're working with Panic Button on the port again, just like last time.
Sounds like
they did a
JazzE.
fantastic job, but they said that they're developing this in mind with Nintendo Switch. So I'm thinking that a lot of developers are going to go down this road where when they're building a game that they know is going to be cross-platform, they're thinking to themselves, okay, we need to make sure it's going to work properly on the Switch. We need to make sure it's going to be a good experience on the Switch. And historically for the Nintendo ports, because Nintendo consoles have been less powered, we've gotten trash second-rate ports like WWE 2K18. Look at you flying squirrel in 2K. Well, that's not the point. Panic Button does a fantastic job. It has done a good job. I've heard the Wolfenstein port was also excellent, but that game started development before the Switch was even out. So the fact that got good, really good reviews and was running well really says a lot about the fact that I think Doom Eternal is going to be amazing for the Nintendo Switch, and I'm hoping this becomes a trend throughout the industry where developers are like, okay, we know we want this on the Switch. How do we make it where it's a great experience for everyone and the Switch not feeling like a watered down or a junior version of the game? So obviously I'd love to see what the rest of the team thinks about other development teams, taking that approach to creating their games. But also, I'd love to hear what you guys think, how this could maybe hinder Doom Eternal in its development cycle, thinking that, okay, well, they're making sure that this game's going to run well and be optimized on the Nintendo Switch. Does that mean we're not going to see the full potential of what the game could be on, let's say, an Xbox One X or a PlayStation 4 Pro? I'd love to see what you guys think about that. So I guess I'm pitching it back to you idiots in the studio. Well, see ya. Gotta kill some demons.
I didn't realize he took last week's episode so serious. Notice how we were saying ID, and he's like id Studios.
Yeah. He's really stepping it up.
He either knows something that we don't, or he's just stuck in last week.
Yeah. So, to reference a couple of his questions that he had, the first one that I would tackle is, will it hinder the Xbox, PS4, PC version? And I don't think it will because of how we just talked about id is... He's got me doing it now. Is going to be developing the game, and then Panic Button's going to be trying to develop it alongside. And I think, id's going to be pushing this game to the limits of the Xbox One X, of the PS4 Pro, and then, of course, the PC. It's going to be whatever you can throw at this game,
right.
You're going to get better and better results because of it. But yeah, I don't see a problem, but it does make an interesting thought about other companies trying to follow the footsteps of Bethesda, of id Studios, in trying to sit there and support the Switch as a first-class citizen. There could be some disastrous results, like Deadite's poor wrestling game, as an example. If you do not have the right port team, to work on your game to get it ready for the Switch because you can't do it yourself, then I don't have an answer for you. And Panic Button is probably booked until 2025 already with projects because they haven't messed up a game yet.
This is 100% on Panic Button. It will not, and I repeat, will not hinder the development of this game for the other consoles and PC, strictly because of the fact that that's what they're designing it for. It's literally id Studios designing it for those platforms and then tossing a copy, like Test was saying, over to the port team and saying this has to come out within this. Now, may there be some delays and some hindrances in the fact that id Studios is probably going to be having to work more closely with the port team and making sure that they're getting stuff in a timely manner and communicating when deadlines are and stuff like that. Absolutely. I don't think it hinders the development of the game itself, though, because you have to think about it. They're developing it for those consoles. This is unique in the fact that the port's coming out at the same time as the game is coming out. Games like this have done this forever. But the difference between that is the development studio creates a game, they make it the way they want to on the platform they want to, and then like 6 months down the road, they're like, you want to know what, we do want to port this over here. They'll get another company to port their game. So it's the exact same thing, just speeding up that timeline.
Yeah, and it is also, right now saying that the game is still a ways away from launching and they don't have a release date. So, I mean, we don't know when we're getting this new Doom game. We just saw the glimpse of it at QuakeCon, so it's next year. We're not getting it this year, obviously.
No, late 2019,
and
I think.
It's probably late
the earliest.
next year. So, Panic Button, they're going to do a great job with this, and as good of a job as they did with the first one, it required some patchwork to really kind of make it the gem that it is now. So the cool thing is that this game, what they learned off that first game and the engine being the same and a lot of these things just being the same, just pushed more, means Panic Button might not have to do as much work here. They might be able to reuse some of the work they've already done, and that could help keep them on track.
It also, we'll find out next month, too, because inevitably, they might not have to put everything into this game if Nintendo Online isn't going to support what they're going to do with the other consoles.
Then it'll support it. Maybe. But, all right.
The game looks awesome. The mechanics, the gameplay,
yeah, if you haven't played the reboot
so
of Doom, it is truly one of the best kind of relaunches of an IP we've had in a long time. That it's just starting, right? Like the sky's the limit for this IP now, as long as id and everybody keeps on track. So.